We'll say, oh, he has all this money, so he doesn't deal with those problems. Well, all the money in the world can't buy you freedom. Can't change your skin color, can't get your family out of that. And not only do you have to deal with it, but your family has to deal with it. Your kids have to deal with it, and it's unfortunate. And I think people need to take a step back and acknowledge that there were wrongs in this country. There were people getting hosed down in the street and dogs sicked on them, for standing for what they believed in, and that's unfortunate.
Quarterback 7:19 Tuesday morning there, Seattle Seahawks cornerback Richard Sherman, certainly a very outspoken. He's never shortage of opinions from Richard Sherman. He's also a very, very bright guy, Stanford graduate, weighing in on the Colin Kaepernick situation. It's funny, I think today is cut down day in the NFL, but nobody was who follows football was talking about players and who's staying and who's going. Everybody's talking about in reaction to Colin Kaepernick's stand and then comments from the weekend.
Yeah, it has been the story of really him sitting down versus the actual issues he's kind of standing for. And everybody around the National Football League, and I guess in sports in general, has had to answer and weigh in on their thoughts.
To weigh in on it a little bit further, we're going to go down to Baltimore. Colleague of yours, Simmer, from your days with the Skipjacks, Nestor Aparicio hosts a talk radio show in Baltimore, kind enough to join us this morning to take the temperature of Kaepernick and also a little Orioles as well. Nestor, good morning. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Be honest. You asked Simmer who the ugly American was. He said, I know a guy in Baltimore.
And he's nasty. But actually, one of the more impressive things we were watching last night, I can see where Pennant Fever is right in Baltimore right now. Great crowd last night.
Which way you want to go, the ugly American or the ugly Baltimorean? Which one do you want here today?
Let's go first, Orioles. What the heck? Why such a small crowd last night?
Well, I asked the same questions. I've been on the air 25 years. The owner of the team took my press credential almost 11 years ago. This is my 11th year of being banned for telling the truth. So, the owner's a scumbag. That much is clear. Now, that's the reason I don't go. They didn't send out their season ticket renewals until February. It's unprecedented in the history of North American sports. You guys are in Ottawa when the Senators, I'm sure the season tickets probably went out in, June for October games, whatever. They want your money. The Orioles were tinkering around with Chris Davis, and the old man that runs the team's crazy. He would not allow anyone in the office to send out season ticket renewals. They wanted to figure out whether they were going to spend $131 million of present-day value on Chris Davis, and once they did, they jacked up ticket prices by 20% and sent out the renewals. Well, apparently they didn't come back very quickly, and apparently people didn't really appreciate getting their renewals at Valentine's Day for opening day instead of paying at Halloween or at Christmas or Thanksgiving, which traditionally, those things come out before the holidays and you pay them in installments. So a lot of season tickets did not renew. They've had a little success the last couple of years. They've made the playoffs. Now, we had riots here last year that I'm sure you guys are aware of, that some people use as an excuse. The weather wasn't good here earlier in the year. Some people use that as an excuse. Some people said, well, we'll wait for the kids to be out of school. Well, the kids are back in school now, so that's another excuse that the kids are back in school. I don't know. It's not cheap to go to an Oriole game. I live 3 blocks away. I have my reasons for not going. But, you'd have to ask the 40,000 empty seats. It's disgraceful. There's no doubt about it. But this is a quarter of a century of the people who own the team running the team into the ground. I'm on my YouTube camera right now, and I'm wearing my Baltimore jersey. They refused to put the word Baltimore on the team for 25 years. They just did that once the Nationals came back. They wore Orioles on everything. They wouldn't claim Baltimore. And now that the Nationals have a team and they draw 30 or 35,000 people a night, that's also part of the story, that people in Baltimore are a little disenchanted with the baseball team and they don't want to give money. I don't know. It was embarrassing. There's no doubt about that. Half of Canada looked like they were at the game. And, the Blue Jays didn't draw until they started to win. And the Orioles always believed that once they started winning, they would draw. And I don't know if that was the Blue Jays' philosophy as well. Other than the SARS scare, the Blue Jays never really were putting 50,000 in there. But winning should be the tonic to draw. And the Orioles have won the last 4 or 5 years, and now they're not drawing. So, I ask that question every day. But when I ask it, I'm the jerk sports talk show host, so that's the way it is.
Yeah,
Welcome
there
to
you
America.
go. Now, the Orioles on the field. The Blue Jays took care of them last night. They're now 4 back of first. Still in that wild card spot, but it has the feel, Nestor, of a season that's kind of slipping away. You looked at their starting rotation to begin the year, and you go, they've got all kinds of hitting, but they got no chance with that pitching staff. And through binder twine and gum. I think Buck Showalter kept it going through most of the year, but it's all sort of seeming to fall apart now for the Orioles.
Well, and they got a great effort from Wade Miley on Monday night, too, who they traded for. He was their big trading acquisition. But they don't have anything in their minor league system to trade. So it wasn't about them being stingy with prospects and not going after a better pitcher. They literally, I mean, it's an indictment on the organization. But, they've signed the Gallardos and the Jimenezes, so they've given up first-round draft picks. So they don't really have anything coming through the farm other than Dylan Bundy, who's been banging around 5 years and had surgery in his arm and probably isn't really equipped to, be a 7-inning guy every fifth day at this point with his arm, at this point in his career. Tillman's out, O'Day's out, Adam Jones wasn't playing, isn't playing right now. You're getting a diminished version of a team that was always sort of teetering. I mean, it's a beer league softball team, guys. I mean, they're either going to hit 3 or 4 home runs and have a chance to win, or they're not. They're not going to walk. They're not going to take bases. They're not going to go first to third. They're not going to go second to home on a single. And they don't really have a leadoff hitter. They have a bunch of mashers, and that's the way the team was constructed. And quite frankly, it's miraculous that Trumbo's been this good. Scope and Machado are excellent. Kim, who couldn't get out of his own way in spring training, has turned out to be a really, really nice player that they acquired from Korea. So, J.J. Hardy's had an okay year. It's amazing that he made it to the post. Wieters hasn't been very good. Chris Davis hasn't been very good after the contract. Alvarez has been okay. They got 5 guys on the team that could be DHing anywhere else in the American League. And, the infield defense has been good. The bullpen's been good before O'Day. But by and large, this was a flawed team. I mean, all 3 of these teams were flawed, but I think Toronto certainly now getting Bautista back, hitting the ball, finding the pitching that they need, having this sort of miracle season from Happ. It's been this is a good time for the Blue Jays and the Red Sox to be getting hot. And as the Orioles, as I say, they're circling the drain right now. I mean, they're waiting to go away unless they start hitting the ball, because that's all they really got is hitting the ball.
And Nestor, as far as subjects, or I guess the National Football League, it's a day-to-day, but a national, now international story. Thoughts on Colin Kaepernick? I guess your own personal view, and how is that playing both in Baltimore and just nationally in the United States?
Well, we got a lot of problems here, fellas. I don't need to tell you. I'm actually flying over to Germany later tonight. As part of my wife. My wife's going to meet her donor this week, the guy who saved her life. And I have my hockey tour planned to come up and see you guys. But here in America, I mean, we have riots in our city. Clearly, there's a political situation going on that, quite frankly, it's a disgrace. It's an embarrassment. As an American, I'm embarrassed by the rhetoric, because it's more rhetoric than it is fixing problems in our country. And with Kaepernick, I don't know if it's rhetoric or if it's trying to fix problems. I know it's controversial. I know everyone's waving the flag and yelling about the flag and sitting down. And I get it. I mean, my father-in-law fought for this country in Vietnam. Many, many friends of mine throughout the years have served in the military. I respect it. I stand. I take off my cap. By the way, I'm wearing my Courage Caps cap for you, Simmer. Just a little hockey reference today. And it's red, white, and blue, so I look like the ugly American. But I'm not one of those guys that's outraged. I mean, I've done sports radio for 25 years here, and I know the button in social media is, oh my God, how could he? How dare he? You know what my outrage is? He's sort of a B-list celebrity at this point, Colin Kaepernick. And if he chooses to sit down to make a stir, it's on him. He's never going to work again. I mean, I'll tell you that much. So, I mean, it takes balls of stone to do that in this country, and especially when you're talking about it in your country. It's seen as unpatriotic, but I see it as making a stand. And, for every Donald Trump or Bernie Sanders or, whomever it is out there making a stand about whatever, it's creating a conversation. But in America in 2016, there's no conversation. They're screaming at the top of your lungs in whatever Archie Bunker way you choose to scream, or whatever, protesting way you choose to sit down. And it feels like nothing changes, because the only way, and I hate to sound so American, the only way it changes is for the people to change it and for the system to change. And we obviously have a very, very flawed system of how we elect officials here. We elect reality show TV stars who, are racist pigs. That's what we get here for politicians. And that and guys sexting pictures of their wiener places, and then that becomes part of the Hillary Clinton news cycle for 24 hours. But solving real problems here, I don't know who's going to do it. I don't think it's either one of these political parties, quite frankly.
We're with Nestor Aparicio, host of a talk show in Baltimore. You talked about the fact that you call Colin Kaepernick a B-list celebrity. let's just.
He's not even a starting quarterback, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's just suggest it's a bigger name. Let's throw out Tom Brady. If Tom Brady says and does what Colin Kaepernick does that change the conversation? Does that change anything at all?
I think what changes the conversation is if 20% of the guys in the league don't. Look, you talk about Ali, you talk about Tommy Jones, you talk about people that have Jackie Robinson, people that have moved things, moved the needle, and they've done things that have pissed people off, and Kaepernick's trying to piss people off, and clearly his career's not going all that well at this point. And as I've said, there are 31 other NFL owners there. Most of the coaches have now come out and said, our guys stand. Okay, I mean, good luck with that. I mean, we had Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf 20 years ago in the NBA say he wasn't going to stand. I can't be critical of it. I haven't walked in his shoes. I've walked in my own shoes. I know that when I stand and I take my hat off, I'm not necessarily honoring all that America stands for. I'm honoring the people who stood so I can stand. Now, that being said, Kaepernick did 18 minutes in front of the media. A lot of it made sense to me. And if this is his way of creating a conversation, then, I sort of tip my cap to him. It's not for me. It's not my cup of tea. But I'm not going to say he should be hung and thrown out of the country and shipped off to Canada. By the way, that's what we say here. We ship him to Canada. I don't know why. No one here ever goes to Canada. But we ship him off to Canada. I guess in Russia they send him to Mongolia or to the Russian front or something in Hogan's Heroes. I don't know.
The subject itself, and as you said, kind of a B-list celebrity, would you look at his protests and what he's kind of doing and drawing attention? Would you almost not say, hey, you're not going to work again, but at the same time, you got $11.9 million guaranteed. If you're that passionate, why not just walk away from your contract?
Well, I think he wants to play football. He's coming a roundabout way of doing it. I'm fascinated by why here, why now for him. He's putting a lot at stake. In the same way Edward Snowden and anyone else that in one case is called a patriot and the other case is called a treasonist, right? And somewhere in the middle we can have that argument, but there is racial inequality, a lot of it in this country. I see it. I'm a part of it. It's a big problem. But we have a lot of problems that we talk a lot about but don't do much about. At least Colin Kaepernick is doing something. I don't agree with it. I don't applaud it. But I respect the fact that he's putting his guts on the line and his name on the line to try to make change. And for that, I wish more people took it as solemnly as he's taking it right now.
We talk about the 24-hour news cycle and how the next big thing will come up, especially in the era of social media. There's the next big thing is right around the corner. Is there any way that you think that this topic is going to remain front and center for anything beyond a few days?
Only if others get involved, but it's been very clear. All of the other natives, or as some of the players would say, slaves in the kingdom of the NFL, they wear their jersey a certain way, they wear their helmet a certain way, they tackle a certain way, and they keep their mouth shut. And that's the way the NFL wants it. Obviously all the coaches came out and said no one else on my team is going to be sitting down because they can't have a run of this. It wouldn't be good for business. Just like when the NBA players were all, wearing T-shirts during free throw, 2 years ago after Ferguson. That doesn't sit well with the people who pay the salaries and people who sell the tickets and sell the sponsorships.
All right, good stuff. Listen, appreciate you weighing in from a as you call it, the ugly American perspective on things we've been.
Hey, you wanted an ugly American? I'm honored, Simmer. I'm honored.
All right, appreciate your time. Thanks a lot. Safe travels over to Germany.
Don't beat us up too bad here in Baltimore, all right?
All right, we won't. Thanks a lot. All right, there's Nestor Aparicio joining us on the Gabriel Pizza Hotline, Ottawa's bigger, better pizza.